All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our very first Tech Hustlers monthly fireside chat. And today I'm very excited to have Ankush Tharkar here from Real Dev Squad. I'll start with introduction of me, and then Ankush, I'll hand over the mic to you. Um, Hi everyone. My name is Shruti Kapoor. I am a senior engineer at Slack. I've been working in the tech industry for 8 years. The reason I wanted to do this kind of chat, fireside chat with engineers from the community is because I think like we see each other's like shining journeys and these success stories on Twitter and YouTube and conferences. But then we forget that the hardships people have faced behind the scenes. So this is kind of a fireside chat to talk to community people in the community and see what hardships they went through. I think it's really inspiring to hear success stories, but it's even more motivational to hear what are the ups and downs people have gone through. So I'm very excited to present our very first guest, Ankush, who has been phenomenal in creating Real Dev Squad and helping engineers and first-time engineers, in fact, get their first job out of college. So Ankush, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Shruti. Hey, folks, very excited to be here. My name is Ankush, Ankush Dharkar. No, that sounds like James Bond thing. Okay. I've been a software engineer for about a decade now. Like Shruti mentioned, I also run a community called Real Dev Squad, which helps people get supercharged on their not just their development journey, but also if you are a product manager, a designer, social media marketer, anybody who works at a tech industry, you can come join our community that simulates a job experience. We have a community of doers. We deploy production apps and we try to make it successful, just like you would do in a chaotic tech company.
That's really cool, Ankush. That's like a very interesting concept of like putting people in like this real life kind of scenarios, similar to what they would experience in work. I'm curious to hear like what got you interested in setting up Real Dev Squad.
The story actually goes back to 2009 when I was in my second year of college. Um, and I was this kid, I was an engineer who liked doing stuff and I could read and I could understand, I could connect the dots. I had no clue what happens in an industry. Nobody from my family was an engineer. I did not have any mentors. I was such a clueless engineer growing up. I just wanted somebody to just help guide me and say, hey, do this, don't do that, and somebody who knew what they were doing. So back then I decided I was already helping my friends, helping my peers learn concepts, but I wanted to do it where it had more value in a direction. And yeah, that's when slowly things started connecting, and slowly my mentoring activities morphed into what we have as a Real Dev Squad for the past 3-4 years.
And a lot of people who graduated from Real Dev Squad have been able to find jobs in real world. So tell us a little bit about like how can people join, and how do you kind of have them help them place in companies?
Nobody ever graduates from Real Dev Squad. It's an online. It's a group where you keep growing. We've had people who started off as freshers who are now learning how to be senior engineers, tech leads, and beyond. Because if you see how the group dynamics are, it basically replicates a traditional tech company. And you just like a tech company, you have different levels. So as you grow from being a developer to being an engineering manager or being a principal engineer, trying to lead the next group, the next generation of developers, trying to make them productive, trying to set up the right practices. And because our group keeps growing and our products keep growing, we start having real challenges that we have to solve and we don't know how to solve yet. And just like an engineering firm, we figure it out. Um, the way, so when I started the group, it was to help people get the right skills. And by using some of my connections and leveraging my network, I wanted to help open up doors for them to go and interview. And I wanted the folks at Real Dev Squad to be so good that when they go and interview, they completely just rock it. And the companies come back saying, hey, we want 5 more, 10 more, 20 more of these people. Um, by a little bit of planning and a lot of luck, and maybe just how the group, the challenges at the group, that I forget the word, when you create diamonds. What's it called?
Oh, polishing or like hardening carbon.
Yeah, hardening carbon. Yeah, let's just say
Mm.
hardening carbon. So just like hardening carbon, sounds weird. Um, the people who come out of this group are 2 to 5 years ahead of a traditional average peer that they have, who has probably not gone through such rigorous training. And
Mhm.
guess what? Companies want pre-built folks who know what they're doing, who are good communicators, who can be very good owners, and also know tech.
Mm.
And when
Yeah.
that happens, it's a win-win. Like Michael Scott says, win-win-win. The developers get a good place to call their new home. The company gets brilliant developers. The community gets more people asking for more developers. So it's just like a machine that helps itself.
Hmm. And how can one find Real Dev Squad if they're interested in joining?
So before joining Real Dev Squad, the only prerequisite I have is look at your time commitment. Be sure that when you come to the group, you actually want to put in the time and the effort, right? It's
Mhm.
not a group where you just join, just sit in a corner and hope that something happens, right? You have to be active. And it's okay if you don't know what to do. All I expect you to do is carve out some time regularly, like maybe weekly, spend a couple of hours that you put aside for this. And when in doubt, asking. So how to find it? Go to realdevsquad.com/join. There are some questions there. You answer them. It tells you what the next steps are. It's a free
Oh,
group.
okay. We'll put the link in the description as well. Um,
Yeah.
I wanna kind of ask you this question. There's a lot of people who are joining Real Dev Squad as first time programmers. There's a lot of people in the community as well who are looking to learn their first language or find their first job. So, what is like one piece of advice you can offer them that you've noticed people in Real Dev Squad kind of adopting or maybe running into a hardship, and something that you can give them to help them make this journey easier?
I think one advice I would have is communicate.
Mm.
There will be hardships. There
Right.
is something called the spotlight effect, where
Mm.
you just like look at your own problems and you forget that a lot of other people go through the very same things,
Yes.
right? A lot of people come in, they look at people around them who joined a year ago, 2 years ago doing stuff, and they get scared. They say, hey, these folks already know how to do things. I don't know. They are so good. I can probably not be there by. So
Yeah.
don't do that, right? When you set up a goal, and by the way, Tech Hustlers has this goal-oriented mindset where they meet, I think, monthly to discuss
Yeah.
their progress on goals. Definitely join that. Hardcore skills, hardcore habits don't get built in a day. You have to commit to them for long periods of time, and repeat and force yourself to show up. That's
Yeah.
when it becomes something that you achieve, right? You can't become a great coder in over a day or over a week.
Yeah.
So the main advice: commit to a long period of time. Say, hey, you know what, I'm going to give myself 1 year. I don't care what I do. I'm going to have a plan. No matter how hard it gets, I'm going to continue attacking the problem from different angles. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to leverage my community. I'm going to go to Stack Overflow. I'm going to do everything. But for 1 year, I will not give up.
Hmm.
And then see yourself a year ago and a year later, and you will just know the difference. And I think after that, you'll be on a self-fulfilling journey.
That's such a powerful advice, like communicating and kind of like committing to your goal for a minimum amount of time. Because I feel like even like starting a new job, even as a seasoned engineer like myself, right? There's gonna be so many hardships. You are working in a new environment, and especially like finding your new like first job in out of college in the industry. That's just like a whole new world. So like I think communication is such a big thing because you have to set expectations with your peers, your coworkers, and ask them like what their expectations are. And communication is so important because you don't know what they're thinking. But then also there's another thing you highlighted, like when you first start, You only see it's like a spotlight effect, like you said, right? Like you only see everybody else's accomplishments, and what you don't realize is like everybody's facing the same struggle that you are. Like everybody's feeling like an imposter, everybody's feeling like they're not good enough, everybody's doubting their skills, and everybody went through kind of like that hardships of like not knowing what they're doing in the industry, even if they've been there for like 10 years. So I think that was such a powerful advice, and especially like committing for like a certain amount of time, like a year or whatever it may be. Like I think like when you change jobs or you are in a new project, you kind of think of the same thing. Like you have to give yourself a certain amount of time where you give your best effort and evaluate if that's going to work well for you. So I love that advice, like communication, um, spotlight effect, not worrying about people's accomplishments and minimizing yours and maximizing your shortcomings, and committing to a goal for a certain amount of time and giving your best shot to it. Love that advice.
Thanks.
Okay, now that we've been talking about like these hardships and challenges, let's actually talk about a challenge. So, looking back at your career, tell me about a challenge that you faced that kind of shook you. If you feel comfortable sharing it, and how did you go about overcoming it?
Oh, um, let's see. There have been a lot of challenges. Um, I think I operate a little different from a few. I don't know. Like my dad is in the military, so growing up, we were trained for contingencies. We were shown like how to plan and like face face difficulties. Usually, when I come across a challenge, I have a level head. Things do go wrong all the time, but
Hmm.
I've learned from childhood that when things are going wrong, take a deep breath. If you're drowning, don't panic. Right? Look at your
Hmm.
options. Plan your next steps. I think my biggest challenge was when my startup did not have funding, things were not working, bills were underpaid. Um, my visa in US was coming to an end. Things were just going wrong all over the place. Um, so when something like that happens, I think I was overdue on my rent for like 3 months.
Oh
So
wow.
there was also that's like it was a proper filmy story where everything was just going wrong, 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 wrong. Uh, and the way I look at things is when something is going wrong, right? If the graph is going down, there are three possibilities. It can either become better, it can stay the same, or it can keep getting worse.
Hmm.
Given enough time, at some point, that graph will hit its global minima, right?
I love that.
There's going to be a bottom limit. It can't indefinitely keep going down. Like if you are breathing, if you are healthy, if you are like able to think clearly,
Yeah,
it
there'll be
at
a
some
rock
point things
bottom.
will exactly. There will be
Yeah.
a rock bottom, and guess what? It's just up from there. So I keep waiting for that rock bottom. I mean, I don't wait for it. I just know that it's going to happen at some point. And it's important to know that the plan that you put in action doesn't work immediately. It's a
Hmm.
pipeline. What you do
Right.
now, what you do next week, what you do next month will slowly and surely start churning out results. And sometimes those results just take time.
Yeah.
So survive the hardship. When that happens, things get better. So when that happened for me, I um, started putting 1/3 of my time in the startups, but started spending 2/3 in interview preparation because I had not appeared for interviews for like what 5-6 years at that point. So I had zero knowledge of
Hmm.
how interviewing works, and now people have become SD2s and threes, and those interviews are a little different. I had no clue there, so I had to like keep planning and started interviewing, and slowly I was able to get my first job. Then took care of the financial part, and then after a couple of years, looked at my startup again and see how to like restart it, and again the same things continued.
Hmm. How do you know you're like in the not at the global minima yet, but like in that downward trajectory? How do you like keep yourself motivated during the downward trajectory when you don't know if things could go bad or worse, or if they're gonna go upwards from here?
That's a good question. Um, I think for me, no matter how many things go wrong, I always believe that if you are if you don't have health issues and your family doesn't is fine, right? the problems that we faced when we were in school, like second class, third class, right? Or like when we don't have anything wrong going on in our life, even the little thing becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Uh,
It maximizes.
right? And when there's a bigger problem that shows up, this problem suddenly disappears.
Yeah.
So that means that problems always exist. It's just that the degree at which we treat them changes based on how we want to treat them.
Right.
So my threshold is until I'm in the hospital or something is going wrong with my family or friends, everything else I'm going to solve somehow. And I keep that positive outlook. And when things go wrong, there's always something or the other that keeps going wrong. Look at it, dissect it, see what is going wrong, and try to fix the root cause. And when you fix the root cause, eventually the problem solves itself.
I think that's such a thoughtful insight into it, because like there are like when you go through a small problem at work, and later on, like I don't know, even like during COVID, you realize there is so much misery happening in the world, and even though it feels like yes, you're kind of insignificant and you're fine, your family's fine, but then you can't help think like my problems are so much smaller than whatever else is going on in life. So yeah, keep at it, be resilient. Okay. I want to ask you, throughout your career, has there been a mentor or role model who has particularly influenced you, and what was their impact on your career?
I think this is one mistake I made in my career. I did not seek out mentors,
Hmm.
and I did not. I know people who acted maybe through my network or through my friends who became mentors, but
Right.
many of them were more on the passive side. I didn't have like those mentors you go to for asking a problem or seeking advice. I think I missed out on that, which in hindsight was a bad idea.
Hmm.
But now I do have people who are my trusted network. When I do face those kinds of challenges, I think I will go to them.
Hmm.
But sorry, what was the question again?
Who is a mentor in your life who has influenced your career decisions, and you go to them for like career advice?
So I don't know these people personally, but there are these like really smart people who do like some amazing thing. Like for example, Lynn Clark, right, who works at I believe Mozilla and develops these amazing browser stuff. I followed her and always like caught up with her work and her blogs and her videos, and um, I treat those experts as the mentors.
Hmm.
Uh, and there have been like a couple of them. Jake Archibald is another one who I like not religiously, but who I have like followed a lot. And yeah, the people who are actually doing the things, right? People who know what they're doing, they usually are like my guiding mentors. But I think they're more of like role models than mentors.
Right. Um, I always see you active on Twitter Spaces and like active in Discord, and I'm sure you have a very vibrant personal life as well. So I have a question for you, which is how do you balance your personal life with everything that you're doing for the community plus your work?
Um, okay, so I think we have a lot of time. We have like 24 hours in a day. We have 7 days a week. We don't have to do everything all at once. Right? We can space things out. We can do one thing on Monday, Tuesday, other one on Tuesday, Thursday, not Tuesday, sorry, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. Like we can find what kind of pattern works for us.
Right.
I think the important part is to do it regularly. Like when I say regularly, like if you're doing something weekly or something monthly, remembering to like have the discipline to not drop it through the cracks.
Right.
Um, in some places, I've been very lucky to also have a network I can trust. I keep saying network. I have friends and family and people around me who
Yeah.
understand how I operate.
Right.
So, when, for example, when I decline, let's say a lunch sometimes with my friends, they know that I have like I'm not doing it because I don't like them. They know it like because I have something planned ahead of time, and we're able to like communicate on that.
Right.
When it comes to the group, I have some very talented people who shoulder a lot of responsibilities, who I trust very much, and they help run the group. So the way the group operates, even if I don't show up, the group continues to work itself out.
Hmm.
That frees me up to do other things as well.
Hmm. That's good to hear that you have this uh, people who um, trust you and know that if you decline the event or hanging out with them, it's because you're doing something else and it's not a reflection of your friendship with you. So having that trusted group of friends, I think, kind of helps you balance your personal life. I guess same goes for having a trusted partner as well who understands that you need to give more time to this community um, instead of other things. And I think you also mentioned like there's 7 days you can kind of split your work and your personal life and like what you want to do on each day, kind of like organizing your time. So I think that was cool. We when we think about like building community, we think like we have to do this every day, but like you're so right. Like Monday, Tuesday you can do one thing, and like Wednesday, Thursday you can do something else. So I think that was really cool. Um, I want to let the viewers know that you can ask us questions in YouTube comments or in Discord, and I will ask Ankush that. So please leave your comments. Please leave your questions in the comments. Ankush, I have a question for you, which is
Yes.
where do you see your career evolving in the future? And the reason I ask this is because Tech Hustlers is a community where I'm trying to help people commit to their goal and form small habits, like you were talking about, that help them commit to their goal and stay persistent. So, what is one goal that in your career that you are working towards?
Um, I have a goal apart from my career. I think my career is on track of where I want it to be. But in terms of a goal in future, I really want to keep making sure that I'm always creating or maintaining what would be the word? Not solutions, but um, projects that help enhance the quality of life. And
Hmm,
if it's millions of people, amazing. But my goal is small. Whatever I create, let's say I create something like Real Dev Squad, which serves 100 developers. I want to make sure those 100 developers get very high quality value out of being in the group and committing their time and effort. I
right.
have other projects that I'm doing with similar intention, which are outside of the coding domain. But the theme remains the same. I want to create valuable um, projects that help enhance quality of life of people.
Hmm,
In terms of career, I see myself. I'm not 100% sure what path I will end up taking, but I know one thing for sure: I'm going to stay in tech, and I'm going to work with people.
hmm,
So whatever roles help me do that better and better with time, I'm going to stick with them. There will be compromises to be made as time passes, where maybe the coding becomes a little less, or maybe working with people becomes something different. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm going
yeah.
to continuously grow myself. At the end of the day, I like to create useful products and solutions for the end user,
Hmm.
and I'll do whatever in my power to like push myself forward to keep doing it.
So for this goal, what is like one habit that you're adopting to make sure that you're doing projects in your career or like for your community? Or you said there's like other projects you're working on as well. So how are you making sure that you're making progress towards this goal?
In terms of that, I think one aspect of this goal is financial. So
Hmm.
that gets tackled very separately and that gets recorded separately. But in terms of the other goals I'm doing, I have to make sure I'm constantly networking up. I
Hmm.
have certain people, investors. I have people who are, already doing something similar in a charity. I have to slowly get to them, and some of them are like very known, very popular people. So I have to like work my way up slowly to like get into their good books.
Hmm.
So I keep tracking how I'm doing there. I have a goal of like 5 years to reach certain people, and this is one of the passive goals because again I have 100 other things I keep doing. So it's one of those things that tell you, hey, I have to monthly check in
Right.
how I'm like moving forward with these goals. Um, yeah, I keep tracking it. I keep seeing how far I am from the people I want to reach and
Hmm.
from the financial aspect of the goals I want to be before. I can make that into a full-on project.
So you have like a goal and you're trying to keep track of it every month, and by checking in with yourself as well.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, one final question is, what is one piece of golden advice that you would give that you have learned throughout your career you would like to share with others?
Mm, let's see. I think it goes back to what we discussed. I think that we generally discussed all of these today. Um, to add on to whatever we discussed, I think one thing I would tell people is you're part of a team, right? Learn to be part of a team, or make your team so productive that the sum of parts is greater than the whole.
Hmm.
So how do you
That's beautiful.
how do you make the team better than what every individual was, and see little ways you can do it. It has a lot of direct and indirect benefits as time goes on. And yeah, don't give up. Right, you have the potential. Believe in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, this.
I love that, like make the sum greater than the whole. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and if you bring your strength to the table, we all will be like we can make a really strong team. And I think knowing your strength is really important in that. So I love that advice. Um, okay, uh, we are almost at the end of time, and there is a question from Ritik. So let me ask them. Let me ask this.
Yeah.
What preparation should one make so that they don't have to worry much when things go south? Oh, I love this question, Ritik.
Um, I think first and foremost, optimistic thinking is great, but I think practical thinking is even better. Um, so things always prepare for. I read a very nice quote in one of the sidewalks in Seattle, which said, "I'm an optimist who always carries an umbrella." Uh,
I think I've seen this in Vancouver too. It's like a rainy city quote.
exactly. So I'll get a picture of it next time. I'll be there. But I love that quote. So you hope to reap the benefits of when things are going right, but always prepare for when things go wrong. Especially if you're in Seattle, always carry an umbrella. So first and foremost, I think it's important to create a runway for yourself. 6 months to I generally tell people 1 or 2 years is great, but when you're starting off, it's a little difficult to do. If you don't have that runway, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, maybe like taking a small loan from them when things do go south, and have that talk before things go south. Like when, let's say you lose your job for some reason, and hey, what this last year has taught us, it can, and it probably always happens all the time. It's just that obviously because of more and more layoffs, we keep hearing about this. That's not when you go to your parents. That's not when you go to your friends and then start the discussion. It's a little late and weird. So create that safety net when things are going wrong. Sorry, before things are going
Before
wrong.
things are going wrong.
Yeah. So prepare for that kind of a contingency, which keeps you going for at least 6 months. I mean, if you can, I would say do it a year or maybe 2 years. And that can be as simple as saying, hey, okay, that means I have to leave my place, go back to my parents, stay there, find a job for X amount of time, whatever that looks like. The second is, don't get too comfortable at your current company. At the back of your mind, always remember the contract between you and your company is you will be paid for the number of days you are working there. Company is a very big machine. Sometimes, for some reason, they can have to let you go or your team go. It's not personal, it's business. It happens. People get emotional. People start blaming the situation. Like, it's a job at the end of the day. You can find a similar one. Maybe you can even find a better one. So keep your skills strong. What is happening in your industry outside of your company? Because even if you are not planning to switch, you'll be able to bring good ideas from what's happening in the industry into your company and solve things maybe more efficiently.
Right.
Have a warm network with people, right? Like always see who's hiring, what's happening, how is the market shaping. Like know your environment. So yeah, always assume things will go south and say, okay, if tomorrow I'm laid off from my job, what is my plan B? So have
Hmm.
that ongoing mindset.
Right.
No
Contingency
matter
plan.
how, yeah, no matter how well things are going in your current company, you don't know if things are going wrong in your company. You will get to know
Yeah.
it when your computer stops working suddenly one day.
Yes. Oh God, that is so sad, but yes, that is so true. I think you also gave a comment there, which was like have this contingency plan and like have this preparation before things go south, so you are like prepared. And there is a quote as well, like don't dig a well when there is a fire, right? And I think that's really great because when things are going well, that's when you should prepare for the worst case scenario. Like it's like when there's an earthquake, you should have everything ready at that time because you need to have your emergency preparedness kit. You do not want to look for that stuff when you are in a disaster. So I think that was a really powerful advice. Ankush, we're at time, but this was such a lovely call. Like I learned so much, and I love hearing from you, your thinking, and how you have been building this community. Where can people find you and Real Dev Squad?
So you can go to my Twitter. It's Ankush Dharkar on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on TikTok, on any social platform. You will find me as Ankush Dharkar. Real Dev Squad is on the domain realdevsquad.com. Before we end, Shruti, I would be very interested to know about Tech Hustlers as well, how people can join it and what it's all about. So just interjecting there.
Oh, love that question. Yes, I love every opportunity to talk about Tech Hustlers. So, Tech Hustlers is actually a community for people who are interested in hustling in tech. And it doesn't have to be a side hustle, it could even be work. So, when we are at work, we have mentors and people at there sometimes, but also it's really hard to know how the rest of the world is doing and how your company is doing. So, Tech Hustlers is the community that I created in pandemic to um, when to basically like help you work on your goals but also let you know that you're not alone in this journey. um, the reason I started Tech Hustlers was in pandemic we were all kind of working at our home office, and it felt like you're working by yourself. And like there was like I used to love going into office, and when that got taken away I used to feel like so demotivated. So this was a way for me to like get people work together, and also share my goals as well. So one thing that I've realized about sharing goals is like if you share and make like have an accountability buddy, it makes it so much easier to achieve your goal. And one example of that is like working out. If you have a friend who is also working out and you make them your accountability buddy, they will check you in and they will make sure that you work out and you they guilt trip you into working out. So that has helped me a lot. And that's what the idea of this community is, not to guilt trip you but to be your accountability buddy to help you achieve your goals. We also have goals cohort, and actually today is one of our hangout session which we're going to talk in about like 2 minutes. So the idea is like every month we get together and we check in with each other on how their goals are going. And that's why I asked you, like, how do you make sure that you are progressing towards your goal? So the idea that somebody out in the community is helping you achieve your goal is the reason why I created Tech Hustlers. And we have a bunch of cohorts here where we are focused on a specific goal in mind. You work on your goal and you just come and share with the community what you're working on and how the community can help you and what sort of accountability you're looking for. Also, like it's a place to find mentors and ask questions if you're dealing with a problem at work, if you've got career advice, if you have created a blog and you just want to share and like get feedback. That's what Tech Hustlers is for.
Super.
Awesome. Ankush, this was an amazing time. Thank you so much for joining us as our first guest.
Woohoo. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. All right, folks. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.